Here, I mean, we've heard from Rex on water issues. We've heard from Marcia. We've heard from Lena Shanklin about Mariners Village. What would be another interesting thing that you'd like to know about?
If there are any efforts to establish a seed bank about this.
Could you speak up?
If there's any efforts to establish a seed bank for the native plant species at the wetlands, so that it can be used for restoration of the wetlands.
So you're asking, is there anybody that could talk about a seed bank related to wetlands plants? Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's possible. Rick?
This might be a little far-fetched, but
Loud.
because I ride my bike down the path every day for the past 9 years, as Marcia pointed out, I've seen some atrocities that I know you all have either seen or heard about, each and every time it rains, particularly like that first winter rain that we get that empties the street drains into the creek. And so we hear about all this astronomical amounts of money being dumped into this restoration, this dream. But we don't hear anything about all of those sewers and all of those pipes and all of those street gutters that dump into the entire creek. So why isn't anybody thinking about, if you're going to even remotely think about opening up the channel into the wetlands and creating meandering estuaries and all this, what are they going to do about all of those drains that are going into the wetland, that are going into the creek, that are going into this flood control canal? That's kind of the beauty of the fact that it has the concrete walls right now, is that when those rains happen, it keeps all that pollution out. So if I was going to hear anything, I would like to hear somebody come and tell us what they're going to do if they're planning to spend 30 whatever millions of dollars that they're going to spend to do this. How are they going to prevent all that trash and street runoff, the fertilizers, the automobile fuels? How are they going to keep that stuff out of the creek so it doesn't end up in this multi-billion-dollar thing that they're going to create? But we're never going to let them create it anyway, but they should be doing it anyway because it's all going out into the ocean, which is, that's another crime in itself. So we'd love to see somebody get in here and tell us.
Does anybody else have any other ideas?
Well, one thing that has come up with Oxford Lagoon, with Banana Wetlands, is native plant restoration and how to handle the situation of things like monarch having adjusted to using eucalyptus trees. So I would love to hear from an ecological restoration expert kind of the pros and cons of native restorations and when it might make sense to allow long-established non-natives that have become very important to our current wildlife, and just kind of talk through those issues. I would love to see that.
I would second that idea. I would also ask if, as part of that, the discussion of mature trees, even non-native mature trees, and their value in any restoration project, or the, as you said, the pros and cons of clear-cutting all existing vegetation, which is what they do, at least in Marina del Rey, and then planting things that we don't know if what they are replacing, what does sustain a certain amount of wildlife, is going to be adequate to sustain the wildlife once it eventually gets restored. And also, as part of this discussion, how long? When they clear cut something, and then they plant the new plantings, how long does it take for that to become established and productive enough to support the wildlife?
Just out of curiosity, everybody is being recorded right now. Do I have your group permission to use anything that you said?
Yes.
Armani?
Yeah, I think all the topics that were mentioned are of interest and important. And I'd like to add to that, it'd be great if we could do a screening of Cowspiracy, which is a documentary that shows how what we eat has a very important and impactful effect on all the issues that were brought up tonight and many more.
This is the Airport Marina Group, and one thing that I think would be really interesting, especially Rex being here has made me think of it, is the potential expansion of LAX. And the fact that there are several hundred acres of open space north of LAX that they are getting ready to do a major development.
Really?
Yes. And so that would be something that at least this group should know about and maybe get engaged with. Because there's wildlife habitat there that Jonathan has documented too.
The March meeting.
Yes.
Timing is everything. Runoff will be an issue in March. And so any of these plans and anything that we're interested in is going to be enormously impacted. I remember it wasn't long ago when they had to shut down the beaches near Hyperion because they weren't able to handle what was a relatively small rain. So we're going to be seeing all kinds of things running off and flowing through here. And anybody that wants to talk about what to do with the area, that runoff will be a great topic for March.
Sure, like just to add to that same point, yeah, I presented to you guys, was it November or October, on the whole issue of dealing with urban runoff and how it's polluting the ocean and how it's polluting all the creeks in Los Angeles County. And all the government agencies are in Los Angeles County are right now designing plans to clean up that pollution. And there's a regulatory agency of the state called the Los Angeles Regional Water Quality Control Board that has scheduled a public hearing to either approve those plans or reject them. And my opinion is you should reject them because they're not really restoring the waters of the creeks, etc. They're mainly concrete keeping plans. Anyways, the water board is scheduled to make a decision on that either in March or April. So, you know, it'd be a good idea to get the word out to people, maybe through presentations with the group and other groups, to get them to mobilize to go to that hearing in downtown Los Angeles and make certain that what's approved is the right plan, or rejecting the wrong plan if that's all the government agencies give us.
You know, along that line, about, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago, I attended a lot of Prop O meetings, saying with Paul Herzog and Joe Geaver with Surfrider, saying, if you guys continue along the line you're going, don't ask us to ever support another park bond. And I got to know a fella who was high up in the watershed division of the sanitation department. And I talked to him a couple days ago. And at that time, he invited me to go to either it was a City of Industry or City of Commerce to hear him speak to a lot of people who did big buck end of pipe solutions for cleaning up water. And that night, he made the best speech that I've ever heard in my life, and I've heard some good ones. And what he did is he told these end of pipe people that there wasn't enough money in the county to do what they thought they should do. And he agreed to collaborate with me like Friday. And so I'm going to be meeting with him, and if I could choose the person, he created part of the Hyperion plant. He wrote 3 books. He has 3 PhDs. And if by chance I could get him to come and speak, it would be an amazing speech. What happened is many years, like 10 years ago, I showed him what I was doing on our business property, and I showed him what we were doing at home. And so he called me about 3 years ago, and he said, I want you to come over and see what I've done at my house. And so Todd, our son, and I, he still thinks that this guy walks on water. He showed us. So he took us, we went over to see what he had done. And of course, I'm doing it from a non-professional point of view. And he did it from a professional point of view. And we were just completely blown away. He did about a half an acre in Santa Monica. And since then, he's been doing more. He got really interested in what I was doing and then said, I guess he'd give it a